Okay, well, I have a little bit of news. It isn't really good news or bad news, but I'll tell you what I have found out so far and what's going on at this moment. I'll have a little more news later today, probably. But basically, I went on to the vet that I was thinking of taking him to's website. Right away, I noticed there's several locations. That's a red flag for me. When you see multiple locations, that means corporate owned. Then I went to the reviews, and there were some good reviews, but there were a lot of reviews that are similar to the experience I've already had over this leg thing. And yeah, it wasn't good anyway. There were a lot of really awful reviews. One reviewer even said that it used to be good, but it's gone downhill since a particular doctor left. And I'm thinking that probably since it became a corporate owned thing, because again, this seems to be the thing now around here. They're all being bought out by investors, basically. And the investors, of course, they want money. They're not buying these clinics to lose money. They expect a return on their investment. And so now you not only have to be a profitable business, which you do anyway, even if you're a private vet working independently, you're still running a business. A medical practice of any type is a business. And you have to turn a profit in order to be viable. And obviously, you have to make enough money to cover your expenses, to run the business, and also to be able to live, to pay for your house and your car and your food and your clothing, and, to pay for to support your family, to support your children if you have any, and so on. Just like anybody else working a job, you have to be able to earn enough to do that. So I understand all that, and I understand that it is not cheap to run a veterinary clinic, or any kind of a clinic. I get that. There's high cost involved for staff and insurance and equipment, keeping things up to date, keeping things as they should be. I can't fault them for that. But what happens is when these clinics get bought out by investors, basically by corporate investors, then greed becomes a factor. And because, like I say, the corporate investors, they're buying it basically out of greed. If you look at it, they want to make money, and they want to make fistfuls of money. They don't want their money tied up in something that isn't going to return a really good, it isn't going to give them a really good return. And so now they got to push all sorts of crap that they wouldn't normally push. And they got to tell you got to do $600 in tests in order to determine how this injury occurred. And it's like, I was there when it happened. I know how it occurred. It'd be like, look, if you're walking into a building and you accidentally slam your fingers in the door and you break your fingers, and you go to the doctor, and the doctor looks at your hand and says, "What happened?" You say, "Oh, I slammed my hand in a door accidentally. I think I might have broke my fingers." The doctor would look and say, "Yeah, your fingers are broken." Like, yeah, that's what's happened, all right. Your fingers are broken. He doesn't say, "Well, we're going to have to do $600 in testing in order to determine whether you actually did break your fingers by slamming them in a door." They figure you were there when it happened. You're attached to your fingers, so you were there when it happened, and you know what happened. If you say you slammed your fingers in a door, well, why would you lie about it? That's what's happened, But anyway, the bottom line is, this $600 in tests just to determine how the injury happened is bullshit. I refused to pay it, and then they refused to treat them. They said, "Well, we can't treat them unless we run these tests to determine how it happened." Well, I told you how it happened. Well, you can't say that because only the test can tell us how it happened. This is what I was up against. Now, I asked repeatedly there for these people to look at him at the vet clinic where he goes. During COVID, I wasn't allowed in there because I won't wear a mask. And so it wasn't done. It was overlooked or something, I don't know. And then one doctor said that Rocky was vicious, and so he wouldn't handle him to look at it because he said he was vicious because apparently he acted up in the examination room. Again, I don't know what happened there. I wasn't in there. I was standing outside, so they wouldn't let me in. So I don't know. I'm not mandate compliant, and so I'm not allowed to go certain places. Even now, there's places I can't go in this country because I refuse to mask up. So, yeah. So bottom line is I can go into the veterinary clinic now, though I'm allowed in there again. But I can't go to our local hospital because I refuse to mask up. So bottom line is I wasn't in there. I didn't see what happened. I got, secondhand accounts of what happened from the veterinarian and also from his assistant. The veterinarian, I think, told the truth to a point, but I think the veterinarian also exaggerated it because he claimed that Rocky also attacked his assistant, which didn't happen according to the assistant. But the assistant did confirm that Rocky was nasty to the vet. So there is that. So, I believe the vet that Rocky acted up. I don't think that it was as bad as the vet made it out to be, but still, I believe the vet that Rocky did act up because the assistant confirmed that there was some bad behavior on Rocky's part in the examining room. Okay, basically, that's out of character for Rocky, though. Rocky is normally a very kind and gentle creature. That's not normal for Rocky to be that way. So it kind of took me by surprise. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying about this other veterinary clinic, it doesn't sound like that's the route I want to go. I was speaking to my neighbor who runs a cat rescue. I sent her a picture of the wound. I do have a picture of the wound. I'm not going to show it here, at least not yet. But I did show it to her at some point. I may post it on here, but not right now. I showed it to her. She wasn't entirely sure what to make of it, but she agreed it needed to be looked at. She asked me what vet told me about the $600 business, and I honestly can't say because I don't know. I've talked to so many of them. I just remember being told that by one of them, but I couldn't say who. And I don't really know their names anyway. These aren't people I really know. So, and I don't remember names well. I couldn't even tell you now what the vet who told me that looked like. I remember the vet, I don't know his name, but I remember the vet who told me that Rocky was vicious. I remember him. But, like I say, but even with him, I couldn't tell you his name. He was a foreigner. He had a thick accent. He was olive complected or dark complected, and he had a thick accent. But other than that, I don't know. And I don't know who he was. But the bottom line is, doesn't look like this other vet clinic is the answer. The lady that has the cat rescue, she suggested that I could sign ownership of Rocky over to her, and he could go in on her account, which would be considerably cheaper. I'm thinking of doing that. I don't know how that would work exactly. I need more details before I agree to it. I did tell her that I'm planning on doing some fundraising here for Rocky. Now, it may be that I'll have to pay the vet up front money, in which case, I don't know, the fundraiser thing might, one person suggested that I do it where it's paid directly to the vet. Well, that really wouldn't work in that case because this vet that I've been going to, they want cash up front before you leave. So basically, I don't think it would work with them. Basically, all that would be happening is any money you contribute would be reimbursing me for what I put out there. This person said that would be the best way to do it. That way people know that the money is going to Rocky and not anywhere else, which makes sense. One thing I can do is, because I will have invoices, I can show invoices on here so that you can see firsthand how much it actually is costing. If you do decide to contribute, then you will see the invoices. I can take photographs of them and post them, and I can also make videos where I show the invoices, and basically then you'll see how much I'm actually paying. And then if you do send me money, you'd be reimbursing me for what I've already paid, is all. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do at this point. I've asked her for more details about signing Rocky over to her. Would I be allowed to keep Rocky if I do that? How's the vet going to react to that? Because she says I can come too. The vet knows me and the vet knows Rocky. So if we're suddenly saying that Rocky is her cat, how's that going to go over? I mean, before they wouldn't let her put Rocky's bill when Rocky's bowels were obstructed. They wouldn't let her put Rocky's bill on her account because they said that wouldn't be fair to, and I'll put this in quotes, quote, paying customers, quote, unquote. Well, that kind of upset me because I was a paying customer. I paid $1,400 that day. If they had let me do that, it would have eliminated like $140 from the bill. That's all it would have done. But they said no because it wouldn't be fair to supposed paying customers as if I'm not a paying customer. So this is how I get treated when I go places. This is why I became an asshole. When I was in Perth, I became a real asshole. And I ended up with a bad reputation because this is how people, this dismissive, you're a lesser person type of an attitude is what I got all the time. Just go over, sit in the corner and stay quiet, retard. That's pretty much the bit what I was getting in Perth. And I still do get that quite a bit, So anyway, the bottom line is possibly with the neighbor lady's help, because she has dealings with them and she's considered a credible person to them. Obviously I'm not, but she is. She may be able to cut through the bullshit in ways that I can't and actually get him the help he needs. But I need to find out more before I agree to anything. Anyway, the bottom line is, well, I keep saying the bottom line is again. That's getting to be a nervous tick almost. But anyway, the thing is that's going on right now is I'm waiting to hear back from her. I've asked her some questions, and I'm just waiting to hear back from her to see her take on it and what would be involved to do what she has suggested. And yeah, I don't know. I want Rocky to get the help he needs, possibly with her advocating for us. We can get that help. I've had no success, really. I just like talking to a wall, And the only time I was even told that he might be treated, it was you got to pay $600 for tests to determine how it happened before we'll treat him. In the meantime, I'm telling them how it happened, and you can't say that. Only $600 worth of tests, So I knew that was a scam right off. When he had the impacted bowels, they gave me an estimate. Now, she came with me then, the lady did, because she actually brought us there because I didn't have a vehicle at the time. And when Rocky's bowels were blocked and he nearly died, this happened 2 or 3 years ago now. We took him in, and they gave me an estimate, and I showed the estimate to her. And she went over it with them, and she knocked a bunch of stuff off it. She said, well, this isn't necessary, and I don't see why you need to, this isn't something you're going to be doing today, and this isn't, like that. At first, they had a huge charge. It was like a $500 charge for setting up the x-ray equipment, because they had to take x-rays. As it stands, 2 x-rays and 2 enemas cost me $1,400. I say it was the most expensive dump, probably. You know, I would say it would be it's the most expensive dump, I think, in history right there. But anyway, maybe there have been more expensive ones, I don't know. But as it stands, I just got a message from her now. I see it came through, so I'm going to look at that and see what she has to say. I do want for Rocky to be helped, and I don't seem to be able to get him the help he needs. I've tried, but the fact is I'm just not listened to, and I'm not respected. And for whatever reason, people see me as weak and stupid and all the rest of it. And so they just try to run a con on me, you know. That's what happens. And of course, like I say, at this clinic, they have investors to answer to. They got to bring in the cash. You know, the investors won't be happy if the returns are low. So, how do they get the cash? They suck it out of the pockets of people like me if they can. I refused to pay the bribe for the treatment, and therefore we did not get the treatment. But this lady, she knows how to talk to them. They respect her. She's a credible person, and as far as they're concerned, as far as I'm concerned, she is too. I mean, I don't think she isn't a credible person, just to be clear. But the thing is, they also acknowledge that she is a credible person. They don't acknowledge that about me. So, anyway, I'll see what she has to say. She just sent me a message. I'll let you know what our plan is. I feel better having her advocating on our behalf because, like I say, I have not been able to get anywhere for 3 years. You know, now, well, what, 2002? Yeah, 3 years. Since the summer of 2002. 3 years I've been trying to get him some help with this thing, and I've had no luck. So, anyway, bottom line, I'll let you know. I'll let you know what we're going to do. Right now, it's all up in the air, but I'll let you know. All right, bye for now.